Messenger, Facebook Messenger.
Oh. I didn't get it.
Alright guys, hey, we are live on Facebook. So we just want to thank you for coming to Pause Impact. We want to welcome everybody as we go live. You're not on phone.
Yeah, that's
right. That won't be.
We're on the placemat. Okay. Everybody come up here. You kind of left the placemat up here.
Yes. We're ready to go also live on radio. Stay tuned with us. Hopefully we can start. We'll start soon. The Wi-Fi went down a little bit, so that's what we're waiting for. But
That's what I forgot.
yeah, Roll Talk 100 Radio.
We had a bunch of
Takes that to Candace to put on Facebook.
Oh, here, okay. Thank you.
So if you guys are, oh, we have a couple of viewers. Yay, everybody!
Hey, viewers.
Yes.
Hey, viewers. I bet that's how y'all can just come up there just to eat numbers.
So we have Shelley Kennedy. She's running for District C
That's right.
Yes.
for Houston City Council. You know, we want to ask a lot of questions. So if you guys have questions as well too, our viewers, if you have questions, please call 281-318-8650. And Shelley has been an institute in the community for a very, very long time, and I'm super excited to give her this platform because we have 2 hours to really.
Oh, yes.
She's done so much at the mayor's candidate forum, at the the LGBT forum. There's just no room to talk to really express yourself and to really go through everything that you've done for the community, and the fact that you're choosing to run. I don't know, like people should just be like election, yes.
I like the way you think.
It should just be an automatically, so we'll definitely support it. And you're part of our community, so that is like the best of both worlds as well too. You've handled, just a little bit of you handled the HIV crisis.
Yes.
You were in the front lines of the HIV crisis, so we're super excited to just dive in and give you more of a platform, and so that viewers and listeners can have more of a educated experience or educated more knowledge of what you stand for. Should they not know who you are, which is hard to say, but you've been a little bit of everywhere, So we are going to go live soon.
Yes, we're going live.
On the radio? Or
Yeah,
we're live on here.
Hey, Michelle.
I'm gonna sneak behind you again, honey. I'm so sorry. No problem. We'll get a bigger room eventually.
Hey, Erica.
Okay.
so if you hello,
What's your Shelley? What's your last name?
Kennedy.
Miss Shelley Kennedy. She's running for District C. What area would that be?
Well, it starts as far north as West New York and 290, and
West New York and 290.
it's like Oak Forest, Garden Oaks, Heights, Montrose.
Montrose.
It goes all around Memorial Park. Then it makes a Washington corridor and makes a big curve back to Meyerland.
Up to Maryland.
we have Maryland as well too.
Yes.
Yes, y'all share
Yes,
that
we have a
video.
it's the
Wow.
largest
Video.
district in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Hey, Michelle.
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
share
I
this
don't
video.
know what happened.
No,
Um,
no, the mics are down.
Yeah, our mics are down.
The mic volume hasn't been turned on yet.
yeah, we're live.
Okay.
I'm turning
Yes.
it now. Yeah, you're live on air. So.
Yeah, so we still can talk.
No, I'm turning up.
I don't know what I did, but I switched over.
It's on. Oh yeah, our mics are on. Volume is
I guess they're what?
So how long has this program been running?
So we just started in June. June 1st we went live actually.
Yes.
And we were the first show to go live on the station, and the station is new as well too. They just went live as well too in June. So we're all kind of pioneering.
Great.
I'm a Project Leap graduate.
Michelle, can you
Okay.
And so with that,
Let me know if y'all can give me
that's how I got to learn more about what's happening in the community. And there's just really no resource. There's a lot of resources,
Yes.
but no one really knows about them. And I was just in my
Sorry, y'all.
quality meeting, and we were just discussing, you know,
Well, I'ma let y'all
when we
get
see a
y'all.
provider, if I see my primary care and then I see a specialist, they don't communicate together. And when people living with HIV, it gets stressful. You know, when you're having to deal with, you know, mental illness, and you're having to deal with, you know, just the daily basis of taking your medication, and if something else goes wrong with your body, they're like, okay, you need to go here. And then they expect you to know exactly what to say when you go back to your doctor.
And medications that
And-
work one way on someone with
Somebody
not
else
living
will
with
work another
HIV,
way on
it's,
someone
it's
else.
totally different.
Yes, and so we definitely talked about that. So you know, being a part of the project lead really has taught me a lot about there's a lot of resources, and so I wanted to start a podcast or kind of a radio show
Yes.
to bring highlights into the community that HIV is still an epidemic here in Houston. We're not addressing it. We talk, but we're not really doing anything about it. And so I'm like, okay, we have an election. Let's bring candidates in to start talking about HIV again. Let's start talking about what we're going to do to end this epidemic in Houston. We are the largest, you know, third largest nation,
Oh, thank
you know,
for
city. We have a very populous, you know, we're like the most diverse, but yet we are still battling with HIV. We're still battling with this stigma, you know. So to my point is, you know, like I'm so thankful that I have candidates that are willing to start talking about HIV, and there's some that are like, no, I'm not interested in this, and I'm like, okay.
Well, when I'm giving a speech somewhere, when people ask the question, why are you running? Well, my first answer is, well, because I couldn't wait any longer. Because racism's at an all-time high, and then the next thing that I usually list is there's HIV is on the rise in the black and brown communities.
That's right.
And you really don't hear about it, and there's not enough education. And also, you know, I mentioned it to, you know, we only have 4 clinics that the city runs. And when I was talking to Health and Human Services, they said that they really don't think they have enough money for the treatment for what's happening. And so that'll be something that I'll be definitely working on.
Okay.
You know, and with that, like, you know, look, we have all this, you know, they say we have no money, and I want to talk about also about flooding. I want to talk, you know, we just had it, Imelda here, tropical storm that just poured on us, and this is not uncommon now. We cannot say this is new to us, but yet nothing is being done. We are still getting flooded. Where is all this money going to? Where's all this tax? You know, KOTU just did an article saying that the tax money that, you know, we're spending on flood, you know, that this new tax is not going towards flood mitigation or, you know, towards
Drainage
fee,
fee.
the drainage fee. I'm like, then why are we paying a drainage fee if that money is not going towards drainage? You know, so as part of city council, is that part of you guys have to approve, right? Or is that only the mayor?
Well, the mayor runs the agenda, so it's a very mayoral run, and so that, you know, he has to put something on the agenda. But for Rebuild Houston or Build Houston Better, they've changed the name. You know, there's like 4 different things of money that go into that, and the drainage fee is one, and that and it's to pay down bonds, and then it's like an algorithm that you only get a part of the money toward drainage. And so we really need to have the drainage fee going somewhere separate, because when you mix all those different monies together, then it's convoluted, and it's hard to say what goes where.
Okay, well, that's just one scenario, you know, but we, you know, and then, like, what are we doing about, you know, they're increasing, you know, that's another one is, you know, they're talking about rebuilding or increasing the, you know, 45 fluid, which is gonna, you know, like, we're not talking about public transportation. We're not talking about infrastructure that needs to be rebuilt. You know, the San Jacinto I-10 bridge collapsed because of 2 gorges or
On the loose.
got loose.
Yes.
How are these getting loose? Like, if we know that there's a storm coming in, you would think that there'd be an extra security to tie these down, and apparently there's no enforcement, or they don't really get any kind of fines or big enough fines because this continues to happen all the time, and this is the second time this year that they've had to close down that bridge. When they just had to close it down in February because another thing got loose, and it wasn't as bad as this one. And
There were 6 this time.
I thought there were 9.
Or was there 9?
There was a 9.
Okay.
9 that got loose, and 2 that hit the bridge pretty hard, and it made it like it's sideways. Like one of the columns is completely sideways.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, yeah, you're gonna have to build a whole new thing. It's gonna be shut down for a year, and who's paying for that?
Right.
City of Houston, taxpayers are paying for all that stuff. So how are we, we're talking about flood, we're talking about, how are we going to be able to, what are we going to be able to do to decrease or to improve our streets? I mean, what can we do? As city council, you guys can pass money, you guys can pass ordinances of where not to build, I mean, we're going to have to start looking at the floodplain of saying this is no longer a 500-year flood. This is a 6-month flood.
Right.
Every 6 months we're having to go through this.
Right.
True.
At what point are we going to, people are like, we're tired of this. People are extremely tired of having to, their homes being flooded. Of having to move. I'm hearing all these people on, just on the radio saying
some people were just in their homes for 2 weeks before it melted.
Yeah.
yes.
And then they were, it's all 4 feet, starts over.
Well, before we start, we went a little bit off course a little bit, but I want to bring it back in. I want to have an introduction because we did not have an introduction.
Okay.
So we just started talking. So I wanted to have Shelley introduce herself and give her the opportunity. You have about 5 minutes. You have a long. I know you have a long history, so I want to give you like I said, plenty of time for you to go over really what your accomplishments are, because there's something to be proud of, and that you've been in the front for such a long time, like we were talking earlier. So I'm going to stop talking now.
Okay. Well, it's kind of, as you mentioned, I became an accidental activist actually in the 90s because just most of my friends were dying of AIDS, and back then it was not like now. They really didn't have a drug that worked.
Okay.
And we were trying different drugs, and in the beginning, the president of the United States was Ronald Reagan, and he would not even say the word AIDS. And so when the president won't even acknowledge what's happening, and there was such a stigma where people didn't know anything about the disease.
Right,
so
right.
Fathers were not letting the mothers take care of their sons, or because people thought if you just touched someone, and there were all these rumors of how things were happening.
Yes.
And at the time, I had a young child, and I was just very lucky that my parents lived around the corner from me, and I also had someone living in that would take care of my child. But I would stay at the hospitals for days at a time because the family would be scared to come and help them, or either they would turn their back on people that were living with AIDS at the time. And in the beginning in Houston, no one was given any money, and there wasn't a Ryan White fund.
Right.
And I think I was on 8 different boards where we were constantly trying to raise money.
Okay.
And with the AIDS Foundation, and at that time, for so long, nobody that was outside the LGBTQ community would participate and help you, and you couldn't trust anyone. And so when there was, I believe it was Sarah Selber, that they were going to give her the job as executive director for the AIDS Foundation.
Okay.
And no one in the community wanted to bring someone in, from the straight community.
Right.
And so I was kind of the ambassador in between our community and the straight community, trying to explain we have to take a chance because we need to pull in the straight community into this because we have to have money.
Right.
Even no matter how much money people had, we were all running out.
Yes.
And so I kind of brokered that deal where we could really get started, and she was fantastic in bringing in other organizations that helped us raise money. And But it was a crazy time where people were, if someone died, then you grabbed their medications and gave them out. I mean, it was that bad. And so it was extremely sad. And at the time, I don't know if I'd had 21 people in 18 months or 18 in 21 months, but it was of my closest friends that had passed. And so I was kind of crazy, like, what do you do? Couldn't find an answer. And a lot of my friends were from the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
And so in Dallas, they had the Dallas Black Tie Dinner, where they raised a lot of money. And so they said, why don't you take that to Houston, that formula, and go to Houston and start raising money through that. So we started the Black Tie Dinner, which was associated with HRC, and then later we started the HRC Dinner. But one of the things we did with the first black tie here, and I had a little pushback from some of the members, because it was just really hard to want to trust people when they'd been so horrible to you. And so one of my suggestions was, I do not want to, when we have this big dinner, we had it all planned, it's coming up, we had like 800 tickets sold. I said, I don't want to charge any politician. And they're like, why? They're the ones with the money. They've got all these war chests. And I said, because I want them to come.
Okay.
And I want them to come and see who we really are. I mean, we're not just, we may have fun in the parades, but we're real people. And so we finally agreed on that, and so we had just a room full of politicians to show up. And from that time on, they were able to, you were able to change laws. They would meet with you and change things and understand what was going on. So that's kind of how it started for me.
Okay.
And it just went from, I've stayed in it ever since.
Okay.
No, I mean, and that's awesome that that you have been in this role for a long time. I'm really just starting into this. I got diagnosed a year ago, and that's really the only reason why I started really looking into what is causing this epidemic. I was like, why am I? At first, I thought I was going to be immune to getting it, like everybody else thinks. So
right.
And then
you're young, you're healthy.
Correct.
I mean, you think you can walk in front of a car too at this this age.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's right.
And I wish I had somebody really sit down and was like, no, this is actually something seriously. Yes, you do. People are living longer, but the side effects of taking medication, and it's just medication you have to take every single day for the rest of your life. You're gonna have to get through this.
Right.
And the mental behind it. So I really wish that there were people out there that I knew, and I just don't know. And I still feel like a lot of people still don't know what's happening in the community, and that's how we have so many new diagnoses coming in the Houston area, which I feel like is just.
Well, no one's talking about it.
Right.
Yeah, you really don't see any elected officials talking about it.
No.
No one's taking a stand on it, and it's just so important not to let it get out of hand and to start teaching people, because it's like you said. For when you're youth, you're fearless,
Right.
and your life is great, and plus, if you love someone or whatever, you can't think anything could possibly go wrong there.
Yeah, exactly. And and the people who are talking about it are not reaching the appropriate people, or they're not reaching the community that's really being affected. People of color, people who are who don't have a lot of money. And for healthcare, who think that, I just put it off, I'm just going to put it off. And really, that's the other thing is, universal healthcare. And while you're not running for Congress or Senate, council, we do have an opportunity. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but like you guys have to bring in maybe funds from like the state, like increase Medicaid or increase, like the eligibility limit. And I know that you guys have just increased the minimum wage for city workers, but I feel we need to start doing more.
That was county.
That was the county. So
right. City's coming. We're working on it.
Okay. So city needs to follow what the county is doing, because I do feel like the county is moving in the right direction.
Oh yeah, they're moving fast. They're up and turning.
But that's because we elected the right officials.
Exactly.
So that's why we also want to elect the right officials. Come to city council in November. It's important not just for a presidential election, but you're your city elections also have control over your.
Well, we can really at the city we can do a lot for fair labor practices. And there, I've been to over 600 meetings since January with different people, and I really didn't realize how much wage theft there is with city contracts. And to me, that's just crazy that the city of Houston allows wage theft. And what happens is the contracts, in my mind, is one of the things that's on my to-do list right away is to look at the contracts. Because they put out a RFP, a request for proposals, to all these big corporations and businesses to work with the city, but yet they don't. We could put the proper language in there. If you use a subcontractor, you have to make them whole. If they don't pay their employees for doing jobs for the city, I mean, we can't have. And it's usually the lowest income people that are affected by wage theft.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I'm going to ask for a list of those companies that have been engaged in wage theft in the past, and I'm going to work not to pass contracts with them.
I just had a question. Like you said, the big corporations come in. What about small minority business? A lot of times they are passed over. Women-owned business are passed over a lot of times because the big contractors always get those particular contract. What can a minority business owner or a lady or someone do to be competitive with those contracts?
Well, each city contract has a percentage that they're supposed to use a minority vendor.
Right.
And it could be a woman-owned or minority.
Right.
As long as you're approved by the city.
Right.
But there's been some information that's come out lately that a lot of people that are super rich, but they may be minority, are taking those slots, and so we have to stop that. That's not what the program's set up to do.
Right.
And that'll be something else I'll be working on, because that's a very, very great program. Where that people that have a small business would get a chance to show what they can do.
Right.
And you get other business. So.
And then they will have the opportunity to hire people right there from the community and bring resources back to the community instead of having the big corporation.
Right.
So if I'm in an area where mostly my school is like Acres Home, a urban community, and we can get a contract, then I can hire people right there from the community and help the unemployment rate go down and bring more resources to the community. It could be Acres Home, 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, any of those, communities.
And a good job changes your life.
Yes,
it gives you more self-respect even for yourself,
yes.
and it's the greatest thing that can happen to an individual.
So that was one of my concerns about how can we get, even though it's minority, like you said, it could be someone already really wealthy, still get the contract, and there's someone else that's really competent and they just need a little resource and then a little help, but it just seems like they never get that opportunity or that chance to stay in that realm.
Well, I think sometimes they do, but it's just not as much as it needs to be, and it's already on my radar.
Okay.
It's there.
Would you support more like the city of Houston funding for HIV prevention? And that right now the city of Houston does not the city of Houston tax dollars go $0 towards HIV. Would you support? I know the mayor has said that he doesn't really think that is needed because there's different avenues, but I feel the only way to be able to get to zero new infections is to follow suit like the other cities are doing, New York, LA, Atlanta, when they're super close to getting zero new transmissions, but they're also spending $28 million. They're also spending $12 million, $30 million on other city funding, to prevent HIV, to really, and not only talk about PrEP, but also use condoms, and hey, there's other
education.
Right. I feel like education is lacking, and then getting people into care. I don't think that PrEP should be an over-the-counter prescription, or should be over-the-counter, because you still need to take you still need to do your labs, because we do know that there are problems with Truvada. But if you do take your labs and if you are able to take Truvada, then that is the right path for you. But it's not for everybody. But we do need education to let everybody know that once you are if you are HIV positive, then we need to get you into care. And if you are HIV negative and you are sexually active, or if you personally feel more safe to take HIV, PrEP, then we need to make it more affordable. And a lot of people are like, oh, right now, drugs company, you can apply for this, you can apply for that.
If not, you can pay $2,000 a month.
Yes. But really, not everybody knows about this. But if the city really pushed an effort, and right now there's the city of Houston's CDC, they have the Houston I Am Life campaign, and they've been on my show as well too. And we talk about that. They're the first people that are targeting LGBTQ, the community, and really launching towards them. But would you support HIV funding for the city of Houston taxpayers, directly from the taxpayer money that we give, and not looking for dollars from the right and wide, or looking for dollars from the county, or
Well, yeah, I think, yes, we need to have an education program, and when that's what I was talking about earlier, that they're saying they don't have the money for the treatment for the 4 clinics that we have. But one of the things that I see, is what I would like to have is a grant writing department for the city of Houston. And I plan on having a grant writer on my staff, but we really need a grant writing department, because there are so many federal dollars that we just leave them, and state money too. So, and that's our money. Basically, Houston is nearly the biggest engine for the state's funds, and then we can't get it back. Yes. And so, I think, and I have, in my lifetime, I have lobbied Washington, I've lobbied at the state level, and when I'm elected to city council, I'm not going to stop lobbying, but I'm going to be lobbying for dollars for Houston.
Okay. Someone just asked on Facebook, what is your platform? What are some of the things that you're standing for?
Well, if one thing, we were talking a lot about flooding earlier.
Yes, flooding.
Okay, well, one of the things when I was thinking about what made me want to run is when Harvey happened. I was like looking at TV, and you could see my whole city, your whole city was underwater. Yeah. And the mayor was saying one thing. He was saying one thing. The county judge was saying another thing, and then the Corps of Engineers let all the water out. A lot of seniors lost their lives that day. Yes, they did. And so when that happened, I think it made everyone realize we do not have a comprehensive flood plan. Okay. And now too, we have money, but 6 people's received some. We don't even have the plan to how do you give the money back. And I want a plan that is intergovernmental with the county, because the county, if we do it just by ourselves, it doesn't work. So much of the flooding has to do with the county. But we need to have a department that works with the county on a daily basis about flooding. Like just for instance, there was a gentleman that was telling me about in Meyerland, they redid his street and put these fabulous big drainage pipes, took the street up. Okay. But when there was rain, the manholes were just blowing up, because where it goes into the Brays Bayou, it was a tiny pipe that was the county's. And so they didn't even coordinate. And so it was just a huge mess. But that's just one little thing. Yeah. But we, in the plan, it needs to be a plan that starts with how that we alert people. Not everybody listens to the radio. If you don't have electricity, you may not be watching TV. So we have to be ready to go out with bullhorns on trucks and start alerting people. We really didn't alert people this time fast enough.
No.
And that's how it happened in Greens Point. That's where we were over there. People had to take their appliances, like the refrigerators, to float the children on, and it was no way out over there in Greens Point, and we just kept calling, and then just seemed like it was no help, and you had the seniors, you had helpless children. We like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do?
Well, and we still don't have enough the deep water vehicles. Right. We have there's people, our police, our fire boats, and but we still need more. We're still it happens every time. You see some area that didn't get helped in time.
Yep.
And, you know, we need equity with all areas, all neighborhoods, especially when it comes to recovery.
Right.
Speaking about firefighters, can we talk about Prop B?
I would love to talk about Prop B. I would love to.
Yes, because I'm that's something that that I was not on board to begin with. When this first debacle first started, I was like, this is insane. I cannot believe that HFD wants this big of a pay raise. You know, like, they are going to get nothing. I'm going to vote no. You know? And then,
what changed your mind?
Really seeing and speaking with the firefighters, and really, you know, like, I have a couple of friends who are firefighters, and I was like, hey, talk to me about this. You know, I want to learn from you guys. And they told me everything that happened, how their pension got stolen from underneath them, and they were okay not having a pay raise as long as their pension was kept, you know, steady. And now that their pension is gone, basically, you know, they get nothing. Okay, and now I want a pay raise. And looking back at other major counties, you know, I have to compare Houston with everything. We say that we're the friendliest city, we are the most diverse, we're all this stuff, but we can't seem to pay our firefighters. We can't seem to get our flooding under control. You know, so let's talk about Prop B. To me, I 100% support them. I advocate for them. I will not vote for somebody who doesn't feel like they deserve a raise. I feel like, you know, like, they do so much for us during the high waters.
You call the fire department for everything.
For everything. They are your life.
So
like,
if your parents fall, you can't get up, call the fire.
Yes. You know, so they need to be paid equally.
Yes. Okay, well, here's my take on it.
Okay.
First of all, it should have never been on the ballot. It is the mayor and the city council. That is one of the things that is part of our job, to provide public safety for Houstonians. Yes. And fire department, the firefighters, that's public safety. Because like we were just saying, we call them for everything. It's not just fire, but, you know, it's EMS. It's my dad fell down, my cat's up the tree. I mean, everything.
They are the 911. So
yes, I mean, if you want to turn in a baby, that's where you turn in a baby.
Yes.
I mean, they're everything. And so for us to treat them like that was horrible. But we had what would happen. They would not negotiate, okay? And it wasn't the firefighters that would negotiate, and it was the other side, in my opinion. And in my opinion, we you know, so the mayor,
the administration,
the mayor left town, and while he was gone, he went out of the country. I think they got 250,000 signatures, or 25,000, I don't remember the number, within like 3 days. And so then it was on the ballot. But you still could have negotiated.
Yeah. And,
you know, the A is good, B is bad, that's not really, that was talking down to the voters. Yes. And so that's why that over 60% voted yes to Prop B. And but during that, I mean, it's my understanding that that even our city controller went over and met with the firefighters, and they had a beautiful deal to bring back, and it wasn't accepted by the administration. And so, and then for me, my entire life, from when I started as an accidental activist, I realized the importance of a vote. And so everybody I talk to, if I first meet you, do you vote? Because your vote matters.
Yes.
And so when he took all those votes, and it was made unconstitutional, there would be a lot of people that will never vote again.
Yeah.
They were part of that. And that shouldn't have happened. That just should not have happened. If that was unconstitutional, why did you let it get on the ballot?
In the first place.
Mm-hmm. And so that was just very upsetting for me. But after that, you know, I know a lot of firefighters, and I know a lot of female firefighters. Yes. And, you know, they do immense amount of the work also. Yes, and so I was talking to a female firefighter the other day, where she finally just got moved to a fire station that had a separate restroom for women. But then the showers, the sewers coming up in them, and then the AC's not working there, and the AC's not. And actually, she was at a big fire, and got in the truck. The truck had been sitting out there all day where they'd been working, and she took off her gear, put her arm down, and got a terrible burn because it was 117 degrees inside the fire truck. I mean, we're not treating them right. Yeah. And so, you know. So, yeah, when I'm elected, I'm going to do my best to take care of the firefighters, because what I really hate about it in my district, 49,000 people voted for it. 47,000 voted against it. You have turned people against one another. You've turned the firefighters against the police officers. They're the ones that come to every emergency we have. We want them to be in sync. We want them both to feel made whole.
So do you think they should be paid equally in rank like they want to, or do you think that they should deserve a raise, and we'll talk about, somehow in the middle, or, we need a raise, but how much is the raise? How much are we willing to give to them? And there is no money for anything, apparently. There's no money for Danish, there's no money for HFD, there's no money for education, there's no money for HIV.
Well, I think we had it balanced budget, $300 million was left over, so there is money.
And what about the sanitation workers?
That's another.
Okay. Here's like and some people, their eyes glaze over when I start talking about budgets. But I mean, everything we're talking about is about the budget.
Yes.
Every single thing is about the budget. And I always say I'm a policy wonk and I'm a budget geek.
All right.
And so, but I also like to have a lot of fun. But with the budget, the way they're doing it, where they take a CIP plan, capital improvement plan, 5 years of whatever they're going to be doing, and they do a budget off of 5 years. A $5.2 billion budget off of a little 5-year scan. That is not how corporations do budgets.
No, not at all.
And plus, everything that's in the CIP plan is not all that's in the budget. So it doesn't work for many reasons. And what I'd like to see done, I mean, everybody's elected. At least we're elected for 4 years now. It was 2 years, so nobody even. That's why it all really got like this, in my opinion. You were in, and then you were running again, so you really wasn't paying attention to your job, what you could be doing. But now, if we did a 30-year plan, you would know Kirby was done last year.
Right.
It probably doesn't need to be done for another 29 years.
Right.
You would know that the garbage trucks they needed to be in the budget
trucks,
way before just Harvey.
Yes.
We would know the firefighters' trucks are 13 years old. We'd know that their equipment's for crap. We'd know that the police department needs different things. We would know everything if it was planned. And so when you have a big plan like that,
you can see
it. And then you can say, you know what? I know where there's federal dollars for this. We can add federal dollars for that. We can have state dollars for this. And you can make it all flow.
Okay.
But when you're just like trying to fix what's happening today, that's why your budget's off.
Right now.
If you guys are just joining in, we are talking with Shelley Kennedy. She is running for City Council District C, and you are on Pause Impact, Houston's first radio show dedicated to people living with HIV, their friends and family, on Real Talk 100 Radio. We're having a really good conversation about everything from Prop B to floods to. So if you have questions you want to talk to about, give us a call at 281-318-8650. She's here live. So this is your one opportunity, just kidding, to talk to her. You guys can call, yes. But
say my name.
we gentlemen on this show.
We are just for me, there's funding. Okay, so we can have grant writing, we can have all this stuff, so that it can alleviate funds for other things,
Right.
And so maybe then we can increase funds for HIV education. So I'm glad that your mindset's like on the money,
Yes.
But what happens, when there is no money, or we can't? It's gonna take 4 years, or it takes. I think they said it took 2 years for them to get access to the bond. So that's why we couldn't really do flood mitigation. But we want things done now. So what can be so come election, come November, you're elected to city council, and from day one, what is your plan to do to make sure other than looking at the budget and looking at what's going on with the contracts, how are we going to fix this flooding? How are we going to fix, everything can't be done in 10 days, fixing the budget, fixing, firefighters, fixing, the trucks. But something can be done today, or we need to know that something will be done. And you have a 30-year plan, or we have a 30-year plan that we're going to stick to. But we have elections, so one mayor can decide we want to do this, and the next mayor can decide.
Well, so that's the beauty of it. They can tweak it. I mean, but still they know that I can take this money and do it. But still, everybody knows we've got to have these trucks, or everyone knows that this is, and so they're held more accountable just by having a big plan. And not just that, it helps them. Maybe they didn't know that this was going to happen, or they, we don't have a city manager. We have a mayor, and so the mayor.
Do you think we should have a city manager?
Yes. I mean, we probably won't, because I don't know who's going to vote for it. And the mayor has to put it on the agenda. So but still, it would open the mayor up to do more mayor things. To be more part of the people. Try to get a better handle on the city. But right now we have our department head self-reporting. Are you going to go to the mayor and tell him how horrible your department's running? I don't think so.
No.
And so that's one of our problems.
And so a lot of people are calling for resignations of of the waste management director. Sometimes I live in 3rd Ward, and sometimes my recycling does not get picked up for a month. And I'm like, why? We just spent, I think it was like $4 billion on a contract for this new FCC company that was going to recycle. Now we have glass. But why are recycling going to the dumps, to the landfill, and not to the recycling bin? And they're like, well, because it's only open from a short period of time. And I'm like, why was that not in the, who passed this contract? And I know, the city council passed this contract. How did you guys not see that they were only going to be open from 8 to 5? And people work longer than 8 to 5, these garbage trucks,
Well, I mean, I think, sometimes just to take up for some of the city council members, I don't know how that happened, but a lot of times you don't get your agenda until 8:30 on Friday night. Okay, so you see an agenda. They're thick.
Yes.
There's a lot to research by Tuesday.
Yes.
And so some things they may have had it boxed up, tied with a bow, and it looked pretty. And maybe somebody made a big mistake there, obviously. And maybe they didn't realize it. But you know what? Now you're the fourth largest, soon to be the 3rd largest city. I'd go back to that contract and say, open up. You're not serving our needs, or we're going to get someone else. But when Mayor Niece Parker was in office, I've been commissioned by the last 2 mayors to do different things. Mayor Niece Parker commissioned me to be on Keep Houston Beautiful, where we rolled out recycling.
Right.
And now we need to re-roll it. We need to first of all, too, education.
Yes.
People are putting everything in the wrong bin, and we have a real serious climate crisis, and we have to get on the ball. We can't wait till tomorrow to decide how we're going to do recycling.
Right.
Especially here in Houston,
we're supposed to be setting the gold marker. And with some of the trade deals, they're not taking a lot of the trash, that's dirty.
Right.
So, but we need to tell our citizens that. We need to understand how we need to recycle, how important it is. And the young kids are taking over, because they're the ones that's going to have to live on this earth.
That's right.
And I'm so glad that they are coming out and making things known and shaming their parents into doing the right thing, shaming their leaders into doing the right thing. And so, I mean, it's a great thing. But I mean, a lot of it is education.
True.
So I'm just trying to get my mic out of the view.
Okay.
I guess one of my other concerns is with city council is we're trying to improve our community. We're trying to make Houston beautiful, and there's all this money to make Houston beautiful, but we're not improving what needs to be done in our communities, like improving the drainage, improving our sidewalks, improving our roads.
Oh, sidewalks!
Our roads are horrible.
They go nowhere.
Our roads are absolutely
and
horrible.
Dumping. We're not doing well with dumping.
No,
or dumping. I mean, they clean up. I live in 3rd Ward, and they'll clean up a site, and the next day there's a
what
whole
about
new
the communities that don't have sidewalks?
Yeah, there's a lot of them all over Houston.
Don't have sidewalks.
We need sidewalks. We need better transportation. Do you approve of the metro proposal that they just launched? ridiculous amount of money for I think it was like $4 billion for the next 30 years, and I don't know if I agree or disagree, but I don't know what the light rail is really helping, because I don't really see people riding the light rail, and
where we don't have enough of it.
Enough of it.
But
yeah.
I mean, if you've been to a city lately like Chicago or DC, that have public transportation,
right.
that it's like I would love to never have to drive another inch.
Me too.
But that's what they're saying with these rapid transit buses is that they're going to be like not stopping at all the stops, and you could go from a highly populated area straight to downtown or straight to the airport, or they're supposedly to be like rail on rollers. So I mean that's a good thing. The other thing about it is this had to have a couple of deaths happen before people really got picked up on a lot of things. But over on Shepherd, a lady named Leisha Adams, she stopped to help a man, Jesse Perez, who was in a wheelchair, cross.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
And somebody wasn't looking when they came over and ran him over and killed them both.
That's right.
But where he was going it's a huge hill, and that's where the bus stop was, at the top of it. There was no way to cross. I mean, if he had crossed down on 11th, he couldn't. There was no ramps he could have made it that far. So he was crossing where he had to cross, and so when that happened, actually, I went to the mayor's office and I told him about it and what the situation was, and I also talked with people from Link, people from Metro, people from. There was a fourth one. Anyone I get to listen about that. Well, 3 months later, 3 months from the time it happened, they had already built a crosswalk where you walk up and push a button and you can go across. So I mean, we can do things like that. And Metro moved the stop, and also they added into this bond, $70 million that goes for sidewalks. That could help get to the that's a lot of money. That's a lot of sidewalks. So I love it just for the $70 million with the sidewalks.
Yes.
And they really want to put more rail, but a lot of times they have a lot of kickback from citizens. But really, what they're promising in there is when they put more rail, this time they have money set aside for businesses, so they won't go out of. The small businesses won't lose their business.
Yes.
And plus, now they really know how to do it, and so it doesn't take them as long. And so, I mean, I am for more rail, and I think that any improvement we can have to make public transportation. I mean, our city, we're growing in leaps and bounds. We have to have public transportation, or we're going to be just gridlocked.
Yeah.
So I'm yes. Okay. Yes,
okay.
on Metro Next. Yes.
Okay.
And somebody had a question. They said, "What are you going to do about the influx of people moving to Houston every day?"
Well, I'm not.
Welcome,
I'm not Trump. I'm going to say, come on in. So one of the things we're going to need is more housing. And more affordable housing.
Affordable housing, though.
Affordable. That's the key.
I cannot buy a house right now. It is just so expensive. If I want to buy a house, I have to live in the burbs, to be able to even think about buying a house that I can qualify. My friend just bought a house and he paid, $375 for a house. $375 to live in East downtown. Yeah, he makes good money. I don't make that kind of money. I will be priced out. In my little neighborhood, I tried to buy. There was a house like 2 doors down from me that nobody lived in there for a long time, and they were like, "Okay, we want to sell this house for $150,000." I'm like, $150,000. Like, I had to tear down this house basically and start a brand new. They just wanted the land.
Mm-hmm.
It is just ridiculous that so much money. So how can we improve affordable housing and not just build, but also be environment friendly when we're building, to make sure that we're not also.
Well, first of all, though, we have to change the conversation around affordable housing, because some of we have a land bank that's from houses that have been flooded and all, where we can keep it as green space, but also if we change the drainage and all, we can maybe even use that for affordable housing. And there's a lot of outside of what the city of Houston has affordable housing corporations, or not corporate, just that they could, they're even 501c3, some of them, that would want to put affordable housing in certain places, but the citizens say no, not here, not in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But here's how we
I mean,
change the
that
conversation.
just happened not that long ago in Washington Heights.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. People think you're bringing the mafia in. You're bringing in it's guns and knives and and you can't walk on our street. But who moves in there? What you have to realize, it's maybe your aunt. It may be a mother with some 2 small children they're raising. It could be a fire cadet, a police cadet. I mean, it's not what they think, and we just need to change it. Let's give folks a chance. And there's with McCaskill that's head over housing, he's coming up with some good ideas on how just to use those land banks and build there, take some of that, and you don't ever own the land, but you get to have a house and get yourself in order. Then you can go somewhere else, and somebody else can buy that house.
Right.
And so, but you can stay there as long as you want. But I mean, until then. But you don't own you can't sell it.
I think they said at NACA it was 99 years.
Yeah,
I think that's what they said.
But so I mean, there's all kind of ideas out there, but we need to act on them.
Yes.
Before it's too late, and there's no land left.
Which is right, but also, what about our homelessness? What about our homeless population? I heard the mayor say that it's down, but I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I don't see that. I just see it increasing. And I've had other candidates running, and they're like, what's happening is that other communities are busing homeless people to, downtown area, and they just leave them here.
Right. Well, one of the things when Mayor Parker was in, she was the first mayor to really go after it, and there were 13,000 at the homeless during the count, 13,000, and. The way that she worked on it was to put every dollar that was left over from anything shoved into these different agencies they could make it where more people. And so she actually lowered it to 6,000, and that's what they're saying the number is now. But what's happened too is, and I don't understand all of this, but the drug kush, okay, it's rampant in those homeless areas. And so I don't understand why we can't, we have undercover agents go over there and live in the homeless and find out where they're getting at and stop it. Because what's happened with the kush drug is when you pass a homeless person and they just kind of look like they're leaning over and just staring, well, that's because they're on kush. But when you come off of kush, you're so violent. It makes a person so violent that people in these, where the homeless centers where they could take them in, they won't because of that, because they can't have that. They're dangerous to everyone else.
Right.
And so then you have another section of homelessness, or part of people that are homeless, that they don't want to be inside. Okay, that's just where they are in their mental health.
Yes.
And what I think that if we wanted to do this quickly to try to help everyone that is homeless, I think that we just need to go triage and find out who is homeless for what reason. Are you homeless because you lost your where you worked, went out of business during Harvey, then that just everything snowballed and you've lost your house? Or are you homeless because of a drug addiction that we could maybe help you with? Or are you homeless? So let's find out who we're talking to, because it's all different stages. Are you homeless because you don't have your meds? Yes. And and then we can just we know what resource to take them to, or help them get involved with, or work with them on different levels. And we need to have more like a homeless diversion center, right? It's where that we go there and then we work with it, whatever the problem is. And I mean, it's just it's not just going to go away. I mean, we have to do something.
What about somebody else suggested maybe having showers, or providing pods for these homeless people. So okay, maybe you want to live on the streets for whatever reason, but at least you want to be clean. You want to feel like a human, not showering for 2 months, 3 months at a time. or providing lockers for them for their values. You know, we're talking about homeless and HIV. How do we expect these? How do we expect them to take their medication and be undetectable if they don't even have a place to store their medication? They don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They don't know if they're going to have water to take their pills with.
Right.
So we want to talk about all this, and we want to talk about homelessness and HIV. But how are we gonna make sure that they stay undetectable if we get them on treatment? By what can we do as city council? Provide maybe homeless outreach or
Stickers on.
oh yeah.
Yes, I don't know how I got over there. New tattoo. Well, I love the idea of having like some type of locker / restroom / shower situation, because what's happened when you say it seems like there's more to you. What happens is every time they block off where there was a lot of homeless or tent city somewhere, wherever they get rid of that tent city and clean it off. Well, then where do those homeless folks go? They go into the neighborhoods. They go into the streets. They go under the next underpass where you're seeing them all the time. And they're in Austin. They have a little thing called tiny houses that they build, and those. and they can live there and get us like a second chance. There's all kind of things in different cities that they're trying, and I just think
we do that something here. Is that something that the city council? Again, tax dollars. We need to help our homeless community get back on their feet. But how are we going to help them if we're not going to provide them with resources to be available for that directly? Okay, you have a mental illness. You need to see a psych doctor. You need to see. Okay, so you have diabetes. You need to see all this.
Right. We can't keep letting the county jail be our
correct.
Our only place for
for healthcare.
Healthcare, right? And you have some organizations just like at St. John's where they can have their own apartments, and even they're even allowed if they're to drink if they're alcoholics to because if they're around everybody where you're trying to get everyone not to drink, but you don't get kicked out if you're having a drink, because they're trying to move you forward to where you need to be. We have to be able to put city money and do partnerships. I mean, the city can't take it all on, but we can make partnerships and help to bring in money to help change what we're working with right now.
Like some of the abandoned houses that we have, land that we're not using, we can make, try to use some of that resources that we already have, so we don't have to go out and do that, because we have a lot of abandoned houses everywhere, and we can just, some of them, a lot of those people probably on the street have construction skills. There might be engineers out there. You never know till you actually go out there and talk and see what kind of skills those people have.
Right.
What about stray animals? I see you have on your website. You talk about stray. I have a pet sitting dog walking company, so I was like, that drew me right there.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
I see so many stray dogs all the time, and I try to corral them or get them spay neutered, get them I'll take them to my house and feed them and try to find an adoption, but I can't do that with every dog out there. There's just so many, and it's just the shelters are become so populated now. How can the city help with stray animals? And,
well, I mean, I just was in a position to test how the city worked on that. So I walked outside to feed my chickens. I have hens. Yes, I do. Right. And there was a baby cat smaller than my hand. Where did it come from? I have an 8-foot fence. I mean, so I don't know if a bird dropped it there. I don't know. So, I mean, I didn't know what to do with it. And it was obviously a feral kitten. And, I started feeding it, and it trained me to feed it regularly. But I called the city, and I said, okay, well, I have a feral cat. What service do you have? And so they told me, well, what you need to do is watch Next Door Neighbor. And we posted in Next Door Neighbor whenever we're going to be in your area for spay and neuter. Well, I mean, cats get pregnant after 4 months. I mean, maybe they were there, maybe they weren't, maybe I missed it, but that is like a horrible way to do it.
Yes.
I mean, it needs so what happened with that little cat was I captured it and I made an appointment. Well, the electricity was out in the place where I had the appointment, so I already had the cat in one of those little cages, and so I took it somewhere else. I said one of my staff call around and find out where you could take a cat, and so it cost $400. $400. The cat was already, pregnant, so whatever they had to do,
Right.
and then to nip the ear, get it all its shots, get it worm medication. It was $400. Now, who can afford that?
Not too many people.
Not too many people.
No.
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 And it ended up just naming the cat after me. After that, I said, you're worth a lot now, Shelby. So the cat's name is Shelby.
I know that's right.
And she still lives there, and but we there's so many partnerships that we can do, like even with PetSmart.
Yes.
They're fantastic with the money they raise and what they do. But if you partner with all these different great organizations and help them out a little bit, then they can even do more. I mean,
Yes.
Houston Humane Society, they're kind of not in the city, but they want to open in the city, and they want to partner with the city, and so it's just a matter of somebody doing the work.
Yes.
I'm ready. Shelley Kennedy, for the people, for the animals, District C.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
now.
that is awesome. So if you guys are just tuning in, we are listening
Yes.
to Pause Impact, Houston's first radio show dedicated to people living with HIV, their friends and family. I have real talk with Lady Hale right here next to me. I want to give Shelby a little bit of a break, and I want to have Ms. Lady Hale here talk for a hot second. She's got a couple of special events coming up in October, November, and December.
Yes.
So for the rest of the year, she is completely booked.
Yes.
But we want to make sure that we give out some information that she's doing, because she does backpack drives. We're doing at the Thanksgiving meeting. We're also doing, she's going to talk about. She has a bus for 50 children that she's going to take to see the lights. River Oaks for children who are haven't been out of town or their little city that they don't really know.
Yes.
And so let me just go ahead and be quiet, and she's going to take over.
Make sure you join tomorrow Real Talk with Lady Hale from 6 p.m. until 8 o'clock. But tomorrow, every night from 8 to 8:30, I do story time with Lady Hale. And the reason I do story time with Lady Hale, because a lot of my children, I mostly work with Acres Home, 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, don't even have books in their homes, and then they don't have anybody to read to them when they get home. So what we do at 8 o'clock, all the kids are gathered around, everybody has phones, so we all go Facebook Live, and I read a bedtime story to my children. So I thought I was going to have more kids, so it's more families and adults. So on an average, we might have 100, 150 kids and parents there listening to a bedtime story. And not only that, that raises the literacy rate, because they are hearing more words for their vocabulary. So that was one of the things. So make sure you tune in every night at 8 o'clock to 8:30. And I know I'm not here, but I've already got the story on there, so my kids can still see that story. And October the 1st, we're having a domestic violence walk from Discovery Green all the way to City Hall, and I am one of the speakers there.
When's the date?
It's October the 1st. Yes, we're going to start at 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock. We're going to start at Discovery Green and walk all the way to City Hall. It's going to be right there in front of, what is that, the reflection pond or whatever that is on the stairway. We will be there speaking, and I'm one of the speakers. And also October the 5th, I'm doing a domestic violence event. It's called Women on Our Healing Journey. A lot of you have already heard a lot of the women. We have Miss Latrell Johnson. She lost her 1-year-old child to domestic violence. She was stabbed and beaten numerous of times, and she still lives. So we have so many women that's coming out to tell their story. And we're also taking women. We have 50 bags for women in the domestic shelters. What we're doing is getting hygiene bags, anything in there, because most of these ladies, when they leave, they have nothing. So we've already accounted for 50 bags. So if anybody still wants to help with bags, anything hygiene that you think a lady may need. And we're also giving 50 bags to the children. So if you want to put crayons, whatever you want to put in there for a child, a piece of candy or snacks, because it's just so hard in the shelter. So we're we're doing that also on Saturday the 5th, and it's going to be the full program where you actually get to see the women on there who have suffered from domestic violence, and we're going to have a Facebook Live so the ladies in the shelter can go. And what I'll do is take the bags to the ladies, because I work with them on a regular basis. And then October, that's October, and then November, we're feeding the community. I will be in Acres Home. We're going to feed community, so if anybody know they already need a Thanksgiving dinner, call me at 832-417-1696. Again, 832-417-1696. Now, December, the second week in December, which is going to be December the 14th, I've already chartered a bus from First Class Tours that we will take my children from Acres Home, 3rd Ward, 4th Ward, 5th Ward, who never get out of that area. We're going to show them River Oaks. We're going to go to Clear Lake. We're going to go out over. So I want these children to see there is another world besides just the projects right here where you live. So I have a total of 56 seats, but what I did do is take 15 of those seats and leave them for my special needs babies. So if anybody, you have a special needs child, and as of Saturday, I do have an RN that will be coming on board with us to make sure all of the children are taken care of along that way. So if anybody still want to go on that tour, it is no cost. It's already paid for. Call me again, 832-417-1696. And for the third Saturday in December, we're giving away bicycles. So if your child need a bicycle for Christmas, make sure you call me 832-417-1696. I partner with he's running for, what is it, Harris County, the commissioner. His name is Mr. Clarence Miller. He's running for county commissioner, and along with Bishop C.G. Williams out there off of Walters Road, all three of us has partnered together. So we're going to be giving away at least 200 bicycles for the children in the city of Houston. So if your child need a bicycle, or if you need any toy, make sure you call me early. That's why we're starting so early. My number is 832-417-1696. If your child needs to go on the trip, make sure you call us, because the seats are filling up. And if you have a special needs child and you need us to make accommodations, make sure you call me so we can make the necessary accommodations so your child, or if it's a special need, an adult, please let us know, and we will make the necessary arrangements or any accommodations you may need. We will have foods or snacks. So if you need a special diet, let us know. We will provide that for you also. So that's what we're doing between now and December. So make sure tomorrow I will be on the radio from 6 to 8 o'clock, and at 8 to 8:30 is real story time with Lady Hale. So tomorrow on my show, we have Miss J. Brill. She's the young lady. She has her own business, and she makes bath bombs. She makes all kind of bath things, and she's only 11 years old, and she has her own business. And you know what? She's already a millionaire, and I'm trying to get where she's going. So every fourth Tuesday, we will have what we call our Kids Corner. So the children will get to call in. They get to talk to her. She's going to talk about her business, and she and I have gotten a good contract with Microsoft. So we're going to show children how to write and publish their own books. So if you're interested in that, you better make sure you call me 832-417-1696. And also tomorrow, we're going to be talking about bullying. Any subject that any child may want to talk about, they will have the opportunity to call in, because tomorrow is our kids show. No adults. This is our kids show tomorrow. So make sure you get in touch with me. And we're also going to be teaching STEM classes. So if you want your child to get involved with the STEM classes, and we also have some engineers that will be from NASA that will be helping us. So you better make sure you call me 832-417-1696. We want to get your child involved, especially with writing and publishing their own book. And we're going to have a class before the end of the year, how the children can start their own business. I know parents, you want to do that. Have them have their own money, start their own business. So that's something that we're going to be doing. So make sure you get on board. We got a lot of stuff going on for the beginning of the year, and it's all about our youth, our next generation.
Yes, yes.
And I'm so thankful for Josh. He's always been with me right there. Everywhere I go, Josh is there. I'm so thankful for you, and just so blessed that you're here with me.
I want to pay her later.
I need my check before I leave.
Yes.
So we got a lot of things going on, and it was so important for me to bring these opportunities to a lot of kids who are less fortunate, who do not have the opportunity to participate in STEM, who do not have the opportunity, that the resources to be able to write and publish their own books. And we're so grateful to Microsoft, you know, for trusting us with this to be able, and we are going around. We were supposed to have the first meeting last week at Baybrook Mall, but because of the storm, we had to put it out. So we will reschedule starting next month. So we will be going in all different areas. So if your child is in any of those areas, make sure you let us know. And I also forgot, Ms. J. Brill, to get on me. We're going to be having our own art show and photography. We have a national known artist that's going to teach our children how to paint. And my husband is a photographer. He's going to teach them photography, and we're going to have our own art show. So the community will be able to come in and see the talent of our children.
Didn't I tell you she was booked for the rest of the year?
I already booked. We got all of this
I
going
love
on.
it. I love it.
And it's so important for me because I work in the community.
And all
where
these programs are free, right?
Everything is free, and we're so blessed, and we're so fortunate that people donated, people wanted to partner with us, and people wanted to give, because I just believe that the children in Acres Home, 3rd Ward, 4th Ward should have the same opportunity as children in River Oaks.
Yes.
They should, but the gap is so large.
It sounds like you're starting to level that field.
I'm starting to level
Yeah, you're
that
making
field.
it in in that.
And the reason, and I always try to be an example for my children, because I grew up in 5th Ward in Acres Home. And I tell my children, if I made it out, you can make it out. And I always stretch education. Like I say, I'm getting my doctorate in education. So if I came right where you come from, you can do the same exact thing that I'm doing. So we can't say where we come from, nobody's going to give us the opportunity. It's always somebody there that will help you. So here I am. I'm here to help you. Come on, let's go. So we've got a lot of people that's working with us that really want to give you that second chance. So it's you don't have an excuse.
You guys, if you guys have not contacted Miss Lady Hale, you guys need to contact her immediately.
Oh, they can contact you, Josh.
But let's get back to, thank you, Miss Lady Hale,
Yes,
for all
sir.
your
Yes, thank you, Miss Lady Hale.
This is how we get all our information. And,
Yeah, through me.
We want to make sure that we also promote, because there's
Yeah.
just so many good events that are
Yes.
happening that, you know,
And a lot of them don't need money.
you know, like taking the children out to see the lights for Christmas.
Yes.
River Oaks is so beautiful.
I want to go
But
myself,
if you've
so.
never experienced that, you just don't
Yes.
know. You know, as a kid, you know, like I go there as an adult, and I'm like, oh wow,
Me too.
amazing.
It's a lot.
But if
know,
all you see is
it's
the
a lot.
projects
You know?
and where we see in Acres Home where we are, you know, you just don't see that. You see a lot of abandoned houses. You always hear shooting, the police, and it's nice to take these kids out. But first of all, the parents really can't afford to take them anywhere or do anything. So I want them to see there's another side of town. There's other people
Yes.
that live a whole lot different than what we live. We're going to live like that too one day. But if you plant that seed in a child's
Exactly.
mind,
Right.
you can change things. You don't have to go to jail because mommy and daddy went to jail. You don't have to be a drug dealer. You don't have to get in the gangs. These things you do not have to do. But if nobody never tells you that, you never know.
Right. Well, I applaud you.
Yes.
Woo!
Round of applause for sure. Shelley, so back to you.
Well, can we just say, can I say something about domestic violence?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Okay, so I've done a lot of work in that area for the
Yes.
last year or two, and we were just at the.
We got a call, Josh.
Okay,
Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead.
caller, hold on. You are live on Pause Impact Real Talk 100 Radio.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hi,
Who is it?
who are we speaking with?
This is Game Time.
Oh,
Hey,
hey.
game tight.
Hey, real quick, I don't know if I missed it or not. I just told that Ken, don't forget about this Sunday, Jacob's.
Oh, yeah, Jacob's
Not-
birthday.
Today. It's,
Takes from 12 to 4.
Oh, yes, I forgot. We're doing Jacob's birthday party this Sunday, right? Game tight?
Yeah, this Sunday.
Yeah, this
from 12
Sunday.
to 4.
Yes, yes. I'll be having so much. Yes.
And,
Jacob gets
you
the
know, much
stations,
more than we can
baby.
get,
yes.
you know, and, you know, I really don't know what kind of toys or what he really likes, but we'll try to figure out what we can do to make his birthday
Right.
successful.
Thank you, game tight. I surely forgot about
What
that.
time is it?
It's what you say, 2 to 4 game tight?
No, 12 to 4.
12 to 4. 12 to 4.
And where is it at?
Bun
Oh,
Cakes,
FMB,
right?
Bun
Bun
Cakes.
Cakes,
Okay.
right, on FM 1960. And for those of you who do not know who Jacob is, he's the station's baby. We've all adopted him. He's a 13-year-old. He suffered from domestic violence. His mother boyfriend, when he was only 5 months old, decided he was angry at the mom, so he took the baby, shaken baby syndrome, broke both of the legs, broke the ribs, detached retinas, and everything.
Wow.
He wasn't supposed to live, but Jacob, he lives, and he is, anybody that sees Jacob or you know him, he is just a joy. And every time I see Jacob, I remember Josh had came on the show, and Jacob was there too. And I was telling Josh to, talk about what he normally talk about. And Jacob was getting upset. I said, "What's wrong, Jacob?" And he started shaking his head. I said, "You want Josh to stop talking?" He's like, I'm like, this ain't the Josh show. This the Jacob show.
I know, 'cause he was the co-host for the night. And he was
this
not
is the
having
Jacob
somebody
show.
else
This is
come
not
co-host
Joe.
with him.
This is not Joe's show.
For
So
real,
never
yes.
say these kids don't understand.
Yes.
His mind is completely there, but because of all of the trauma he had, the brain moving back and forth, and the attached retina, both arms broken, both legs, the rear. And can you imagine that's only a 5-month-old baby? That was just unnecessary. So we
He
at the
is 13
station.
years old today.
Yes, he's 13 years
Yes.
old today.
His
and
mama
Happy
loves
birthday,
yes, and we
Jacob.
love him dearly.
I'll talk to y'all later. I'm on my way to the station now.
All right. Yes, and we love him, and he's a part of Lady Hale's Angels. I have a lot of those, special needs babies there called Lady Hale's Angels, and we treat them just like our angels and our dolls, and we don't treat them any different because they are regular children.
Right.
I want to talk back
Domestic
violence.
Yes.
Because that is a main issue that we've had on our show as well too, and domestic violence and HIV are serious as well too, because your partner can say, don't take your pills, or he may be HIV positive and you may not be, and he doesn't want to use condoms, and he may not know that, so you may be contracting it, so go ahead and speak about domestic violence.
Yes.
And how can we?
Well,
You
we
said
were
this-
at the vigil last night for Makala,
Yes.
and it's so sad, and it's really, there's so many, it can affect partners of any men and men, or women and men, but there's so many women that feel like if that's the whole thing, they have the power over the woman, and they feel like, what will I do if I lose him with the money, and a lot of people have think that I'll never be able to rent another apartment if I run away, or if I have a plan to escape it. But they've passed laws now that if it's a domestic violence, why you've had to break that lease, well then they won't hold that against you. And I think the DA's office. I know, but what is the called? I don't know, Kim Hogg, but what is it called when you have
Victims crime?
No, when you can keep someone away from you.
Protective order.
Protective order.
Yes.
Okay. Well, people that don't have money think that they can't afford an attorney, but you can get a free protective order.
Yes, you can.
And so that's one thing. But one of the things that happened how I really learned so much about it in the last couple of years. Well, there was actually a bus driver, young female bus driver, who was murdered right when she was pulling into her job by her husband. And when I was there to help with the grief process, and everyone was coming up to me and telling me this had happened to them at some point in their life, and it was everyone.
Yes.
And I was like, what? I couldn't grasp that every single person that I was talking to, it had happened to them. They had been a part of domestic violence. And one lady even said, well, she was older, and she said, well, I fixed my husband. I shot him in the foot, and he stopped all that. But I mean, I said, well, okay, well, that's one way.
Yeah.
But still, when I realized how many people that had been so accepting of it, and so then, we wanted to be able to provide something for the other drivers, like, well, because they were saying, well, they knew about it and they had said, don't, you need to leave him or whatever. But that's not what you really need to say. I mean, you have to really have a good plan to get away from.
Yes, a good exit plan.
A good exit plan, because there's 95% of the women that are killed, they're leaving the husband or leaving the man, whatever.
Right.
And so an exit plan is so important, and it's so important that people know that there's help out there, and not to feel any shame. Don't feel any shame about it.
Right.
It's okay. It happens in all different socioeconomic groups, but there's help, and you deserve better.
That's right.
And the women's center's a great place, and there's many others, but that you can call them and they can help you.
They will come and pick you up.
They'll come and pick you up, and they'll help you with your exit plan.
Yes, they will.
And I just, and just too many times lately here in Houston, children have gotten the brunt of this, and they've lost their lives, and we've got to really start educating more and talking more about it, because it's not talked about.
Yes.
And I mean, we've just got to start talking about that it's happening here, it's happening there, and let's fix it. And I'm in on that.
Yes. So make sure you
how city council, how can you fix? I mean, we are Houston. On top of that, we are the #1 traffic city in the world. So how can we? I just saw on the news just today that they found a missing girl from North Carolina or from another state here in North Texas. And, I was like, what? Here in Houston? Of course, here in Houston they found somebody. We are the #1. So how are we going to prevent trafficking, sex trafficking? How are we going to prevent children from being trafficked? And this was the mother. I read that it was just a very short story, but it was the mother got arrested for. I was like, this is the parents who are. Some of the times it's the parents who are actually selling their child.
Babies.
This happened to Nisi.
It doesn't.
It's not uncommon, and we are not talking about that. Houston is a growing city, but we also have to stop this nonsense of these killings and crime is. They're saying that crime is on the rise, or is not on the rise. It's actually gone down, but. How do you think that crime has gone down when we keep on seeing these violent acts? Malia, we keep on, that little child, that little baby just got died. What can city council regulations? Because you guys don't really have, you're not the DA, so you're not there. So it may not be your direction. How to prevent.
I just think the more that's what I wanted us to talk about today. The more you talk about it, and that you give women or men, whoever needs it, a way out, and because people, when they're going through something that devastating, they think it's because it's my fault, and I'm the only one, and I can't tell anyone. But I mean, if we start talking about it as elected officials, it just you're talking about it on your show. But the more but be real honest. Okay, I didn't really know that much about it until that it was that prevalent as far as just domestic violence that was being accepted with people that I was interacting with every day. And so it can't be a hidden fact. It has to be talked about. It has to be something that's out. And I think people that the more people we have, like Nisi, she's wonderful, and you have Kathy Griffin, that's wonderful. But when young women get in that sex trafficking ring or whatever, or that, one of the main thing is they get them addicted to drugs, and then when you're addicted to drugs to that high extent, it's so hard because you're needing that next fix. So you're doing when people are wanting to help you, it's hard. So I mean, it's a big problem. It's a hard problem, but we can work on it.
Yes.
And we have to work on it. I mean, we don't want to be the sex trafficking capital.
Yeah. And but I feel like no one's talking about it. I don't hear the mayor addressing, that saying that all of our flaws. I'm sure he's just touting, the great things that we are for. But we also need to look at Houston, as a whole, and say this is happening right in our backyard, and how can we?
It's
be okay
happening
with
in
it?
every neighborhood, in every, it's like you really have to. I mean, I'm not want to be like a starts a scare thing, but you can't let your teenagers go to the mall alone anymore.
No.
Those days are over. I mean, I know people don't go to the mall that much anymore, but just anywhere. Go anywhere. Walking across the street. You know, I mean, if it's a busy street, people see it. But that's
they're like you have a GPS tracker on.
Yeah, but I mean, there's men with vans that have been reported all over Houston.
Yeah.
And trying to grab young women, grab even older women.
Yes, that's true.
What about Hero? Hero didn't pass. Would you support? I'm sure you would vote for it, but how could you bring to the table if the mayor is not willing to? I heard Tony Busby say on another show, he said that he would support it as mayor if somehow it got on the ballot, or if somehow it got on the agenda. And I was like, well, how can it get on the agenda if you don't put it there? But he's like, I'm telling you, I wouldn't put it there, but if it got on somehow, and if I would support it 100%. So I was like, okay, well, that's better than not supporting it or saying that we're not going to put it on the ballot. I think
let's just talk about Hero. What happened? It turned into a bathroom bill. What was Hero? Not a bathroom bill. Okay.
Yeah.
And there was 15 different protections that Hero offered. And the way that it was turned around was that we put in race, pregnant women, and veterans just to try to get it passed, because some of that's already covered under federal guidelines. But let's just take anything. Say you're discriminated against, and you know what? If you are black and rich, you're probably not going to be discriminated against. If you're black and poor, it's a different story. So if it's a federal protection, that has to go in federal court to fight it. Or do you have the money to pay an attorney that only operates in federal court? No. So you need city protections. They're not really protected when it's just federal. Maybe in big corporations, but just in small businesses and other situations, you need it to be an ordinance. And so one of the things that we really didn't do the last time was make sure all the people that we're protecting, they have to buy into this and be a part of it. And we have lost companies that wouldn't move to Houston because they don't want to be associated. We lost the DNC, which was millions of dollars, because they can't be associated with cities that will not have a non-discrimination act ordinance. And we're the only city in Texas, the large city, that doesn't have it, and all large cities around the nation have it. And so it's not just something that we need to do; it's the right thing to do, and we'll be hurt financially and otherwise if we don't change something there. So I plan on taking that on, but it's not. We're not going to put it out like, well, we want this. No, it's going to have to be packaged. It's going to have to be something we can sell to every other city council member. It's going to have to be something that we need to sell to corporations. We're going to sell it to the Greater Houston Partnership. Everybody has to be bought in, and then it comes
to a vote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or to the table. But because the main thing is, because they want to host. The city of Houston, or Pride Houston wants to host, 2023 or 20 something Pride, the global Pride. But I'm thinking, how are we going to have all these LGBTQ A plus people coming into our city or state, and we have no protections for them? Anybody can be discriminated at any time and not given an appointment. Doesn't really happen on a daily basis. But if you have a massive of 3 million people, 4 million people, LGBT mostly, coming to Houston, you're gonna have a pretty big problem. People saying, no, actually, I'm not gonna rent to you, or our trans people. Oh no, you know what? Actually, I saw that you're this kind. No, thank you. And I can totally do. You're not going to sue me. How are you going to sue me? It's totally legal,
right?
So how are we proposing to host all this stuff if we can't even take care of? That's what I'm thinking.
We can't be a city that continues to have it where it's legal to discriminate against any class of people.
Yes, true.
But we still are.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I'm, you know, when I'm talking to candidates, you know, that's my main thing is like I want to make sure that it's just not my protections, it's for everybody. And they were saying like most of the time that most of the complaints that came in during that short period of time were people of color complaining that they were not being afforded the rent, or they were, you know, they weren't being landlords weren't renting to them because of their color of their skin.
Well, housing's a big problem.
It's a huge problem, you know, but we need to address it as a city, and our city council really needs to put the forefront in it and say, you know, we are not going to tolerate this at all. And Houston being the most diverse, Houston being all this stuff, we have to say enough. At what point do we say enough is enough? And we have to address to make sure that we all feel safe as a city, you know, including, you know, our police officers. You know, people have this huge, now there's a huge wedge between, you know, HFD and HPD, you know, this distrust. You know, they can, you know, I think, I don't know if this is a city council issue, but, you know, I think if a police officer is working their second job or working at, you know, Target or wherever, their body cam should be on.
Well, you know? I serve on the Independent Police Oversight Board. And it's actually my panel who, you know, we can't write policy, but we can write what we think it should be to the police chief.
Yes.
And so that can't happen anymore, what you're saying. That we got that changed. There's a new policy that says if you are a Houston police officer, that you have to wear a camera if you are working in a bar. Okay? And that's but we're trying to get it expanded, and actually I've sent a note to the mayor that because first of all, police officers at first didn't want to wear cameras, but now they see it's for their protections too.
Yeah.
It works better for them to really. But police officers so now the only thing we've got passed was if they're in bars, but we don't have it passed if they're if they're anywhere else working a second job. And so one of the reasons is that they were saying is they don't have the money for the enough cameras, because the way you check them in and all, it's kind of a crazy system. But so I mean, we need to give them the money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you need it everywhere. They need to wear them everywhere, because one of the reasons why, there's many reasons, but we're never going to be able to work together, the community and the police officers respecting each other equally, if the citizens don't feel safer, or the police officers don't feel safer. And so I mean, it really needs to be where, if we are going to need to get more police officers, number one, then we need to have them where that they are come to our barbecues, come to our civic clubs, or schools, come to our schools. And so the first time you may have an interaction with one of the officers, then they may know you, they may know your dad or your brother, or and it's not escalated to something that's a huge problem.
Yeah. And my own thing is we see other cities that the police thankfully our police are not we haven't had a huge case here in Houston, but there are several other cases where police are not being they just discourteous, or like what happened at at the Denny's parking lot where a Sheriff's County person put because he was drunk and whatever the case is. But I feel police officers should be held at a higher standard at all times. And if you're going to be working as this is something new for me, and I'm just learning that there's no body cameras.
We have a lot of great police officers, and just think about who decides they want to be a police officer. Like you see little kids dressed up as police officers in Halloween. They want to be the hero, but it is one tough job out there.
Yes, it is.
And things happen where you're hardened. So it's just like we need to help them too, but not become what they never were in the beginning.
Yeah, well.
And but there's a lot of great officers out there, and but there's some bad apples, and they need to go.
Just talking about just public safety as well too. what is your about like maybe having patrol officers instead of these people writing tickets for speeding?
Yes.
How about you start patrolling our neighborhoods and actually doing instead of on a constant basis, so that there's not all these break-ins, that these are not people smashing into people's cars and windows. It happens all the time. Crime is on the rise. Almost because
here's one of the problems. Houston is so spread out.
Yes.
What is it, 634 square miles or something like that. And in Chicago, they're 1/3 of the square mileage. And they have 13 police officers. We have 5,200. And not all of them are active. And so we have less police officers in Houston than we had in 20 years ago. And we've incorporated all these other little parts of the city. Yeah. And so it's like an impossible, task. But I understand what you're saying. But like with the police officers, they're part of their money for the tickets and all. They get 30% back to the police department, that's for their equipment and for overtime. And so it's part of helping to pay for the police officers.
Well, I mean, I think maybe we should switch. I'm not a bill writer, but instead of there's so much crime that's happening, and if you call in for a police officer because your car broken into, good luck having somebody come out to you.
There's not enough officers to really patrol. That's why they're having to hire outside agencies now.
I feel like Houston is so big, yes, but at the same time we have to start doing something because they see that Houston is big and these criminals are just running rapid around our city, thinking that they can just get away with, robbing a convenience store, no problem, because what's going to happen? It takes 45 minutes, an hour, 3 hours, 5 hours before an officer shows up, and that suspect is long gone by now. They're Beaumont at this point,
That's right.
But something else is that I was just researching as well too, and talking about police and community neighborhoods, and how to increase vigilance, also it's citizens as well too. We also need to be held a little bit responsible, trying to be out there more, visualize. I have vandalism that happens in my neighborhood. People steal out from my porch. They steal my plants. They steal. If it's not bolted down, they're gonna take it. They just took my
steal your mop.
Yes, I'm like, can y'all take some of these kitties while you guys are out there? But there's so much organizations out there, or super neighborhoods, but yet we're not really. So maybe if we can have officers come in and talk to us a little bit more instead of they're our first experience being them giving us a ticket for speeding or whatever the case is. Okay, or violent or mentally ill, or if you're having a mental breakdown or you're having so special training. I feel like officers need to go through a in-deep training on how to handle situations that are not just a regular day,
right.
How to handle somebody who has a mental disability, or somebody who is not on their meds.
Well, if we had more of those diversion centers too, then they would. It's just they're not trained as much as they need to be working with the mentally ill, and if they had a place just instead of taking them directly to jail, if we could take them to those diversion center. I mean, when Parker was mayor, I mean, she had a diversion center for drunks,
Yes, she did.
and that helped a lot of people not ruin their life, lose their jobs, and so we could do the same thing for mentally ill.
Yes.
And is that something the city council, you guys can propose that, pass that ordinance, and if you're mentally ill, instead of going to Harris County Jail, let's get you into a mental institution. Get you somewhere, get you help first, because maybe your problem is just that, and you don't need to be locked up to get health care.
Or they could be off their meds that particular day.
That's really what happens usually.
Yeah.
We're going to be wrapping up our show in about 15 minutes, so I just wanted to say thank you.
Already?
Just any kind of, when closing, how do people reach out to you? You have a Facebook page. You have a donation.
I have a Facebook page, Kennedy for Houston. Twitter, Kennedy the number 4 for Houston. Shelley Kennedy for City Council. Instagram, and my cell phone number is on my website.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the number right here that my grandchildren call me on. My mother calls me on. So ring, let me know what's going on, and I'll be there. I've been able to do a lot of things
Yes.
while I'm running. And, you know, I was chair of Senate District 15, which kind of overlaps 3/4 of District C. And so I've been taking care of people in this district for most of my life, because I was 2 terms in that and then 2 terms on the State Democratic Executive Committee representing Senate District 15. So, you know, a lot of seniors call me already, and a lot of, yes, well, you know, any kind of problem, they're used to calling me, and I'm used to answering.
Yeah.
So this is
You know, in
Just
other words,
stepping it
how
up.
can people get a hold of you? But there you go. Right
Yeah.
there. She just gave out her number.
Yeah.
Go find her number on her website. You
go
guys can save
to
it.
go
So
to
when she's
About
elected-
Shelley. It's right there.
When she's
Yes.
elected, you guys can have it.
713-822-7688.
You know, and that's, you know, it's really important because, you know, I'm trying to get a hold of my city council member, and I've asked them. I've sent several emails, and I have yet to receive one response back. You know, so I'm like, and you're running for mayor, you know, like you want me to support you for mayor, and you can't even. I'm your constituent, and you can't even get a hold of, because I'm worried about my trash. I'm worried about, you know, my crime rate is going up. I'm worried about I had somebody park a boat at just open lot, and they just put a boat there. I'm like, okay, can you know, like, hey, can we get this out of here? You know, no response back. So I'm really happy that you do give out your number out to.
Well, like the people always ask, what are you going to do the first day? Well, the first day we're going to go
Change
over
the number.
Customer Service 101.
All right now.
Malcolm, did you have something did you want to add?
Yes, I'm sitting over here enjoying the show.
Hi, Malcolm.
Hello, hello. I was, after you mentioned your Instagram name, I went some snooping and get some snooping.
Okay.
And I don't know if you guys have already touched on it, but I wanted to ask you about the September 26th, the event that's happening on Thursday, the September 26th at 8:30.
Yeah, that's happening over at Tacos A Go Go, and it's free tacos on me. And it's one over on TC Jester.
That's what caught my attention.
Hey, come have a taco, and we're just come have a taco with Shelley, and we're just sitting around and talking. We've invited seniors or anyone else that wants to come.
We like
Tacos with Shelley. I like that.
Tacos with Shelley.
Yes, I like that. I'm gonna
Thursday
go.
tacos.
we're
Instead of
gonna have to
Taco
come
Tuesday, it's Taco Thursday morning.
Shelley.
What's the location, ma'am? I see an address, but I don't see a location.
It's Tacos A Go Go, and it's on West TC Jester.
Yep, I know exactly where it's at because
It used to be where Schlotsky's sandwich shop was.
I don't know. I have a client that lives the next street over,
Oh, okay.
so I turn on that street all the time.
Yeah.
Too.
Really have great tacos. Come
I've
on
never
by.
been there actually, so I'm gonna go there.
Thursday morning, 8:30 to 10:30.
Are these breakfast tacos or are these?
They're breakfast tacos, but I mean, whatever. If they have the other kind at that time, we're welcome to order whatever. Come
That's a
on.
stupid question. 8:30 in the morning. Are these breakfast tacos? I'm sorry.
Long day, huh?
Yeah, I gotta
You
hear
can
them
eat any kind of
myself.
tacos. Tacos you can eat anytime.
That's right.
You can have any kind of taco.
It's always the right time for
It's always the
tacos.
right time. There's never a bad time for a taco.
Not at all.
But you know,
Thank you.
leaving, I wanted just making sure that you give out your information, making sure people know where to contact you. Voting starts November 2nd.
Early voting
early voting is-
October the 21st to November the 1st.
So
Election
early
day.
voting is October 21st
Yeah,
through
and
the 1st.
I don't know if there's many seniors or people that stay at home and vote by ballot, but
That's how my parents voted.
well then, but you need to know that you need to call in and get your application. You'd have to fill out an application every year to get the ballot.
That's true.
So seniors, if you guys are listening, make
Or
sure
disabled.
you contact the counties of
Yeah, I don't have the number with me.
the.
Or if you can just
Voting
call me
center.
and I'll
Okay.
send you one. I've been mailing them out.
Oh, nice. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so early voting starts October 21st through November 1st. Election day is November 5th.
November 5th.
Please vote for Shelley County.
Where's your
She
victory
is.
party
And I
gonna
am
I-
number 13 in under C, so I'll go all the way to the bottom
Just
to
keep going.
skip
Let's
on
give
down and
everybody.
hit that lever.
be? Where's your
Yes.
victory party going to be? It sounds like it's going to be exciting.
You know what? I'm going to announce it because we're just still trying to figure out where would be the
Keep us
best place.
informed.
You know, we'll probably do it someplace in Montrose because that's
Okay.
the center in between the north and the
Yeah,
south.
Okay.
But I mean, I want to have a band
I know.
because
We're gonna have
I
a
mean,
party.
win or lose, it's a party.
It's going to be a
Yes.
party.
It's a party. We've been working hard for 1 year.
We need a party.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
So please, guys, if you are not registered to vote, get registered to vote.
Get
immediately.
registered.
Yes.
I think the time. I think the deadline has passed already for this election. If you have not registered to vote already, but if you don't and you do want to get registered, do it anyways because 2020 is coming up as well too. But closing, you know, we have 8 more minutes left. Is there any special topic that we did not cover that you would like to discuss with us?
I'm sorry. I'm over here eating and the hair's all in my beard. I'm sorry. I'm distracting everybody.
Do I have something?
No. Now, Josh and Lady Hale, I do want to pick on somebody. Y'all know I love picking on people,
Go
right?
ahead, pick on
Yes.
somebody.
On our shows, you probably never watched our show, but we have one show. It's called After Dark and Malcolm and Lisa. It's coming on at 10 o'clock tonight. And the DJ that called in earlier is behind you. And he's on the show as well.
Hey there.
But on that show, and on our other shows that we host, I'm the guy that puts everybody on the spot.
Okay.
So I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on you. You've done a great job. I'm picking on
October
your
7th.
guest. I'm picking on your guest. She's sitting over there, and she's gonna be like, "It's putting me on the spot."
Do it. Let's go for it.
I want to pick on her. Grab the microphone right
Oh
quick.
no.
I knew it. She was too quiet. She was too quiet over
You
there.
already missed it. She already said she didn't want to be on it. And I told
Oh,
her that
oh,
was
she
fine.
did. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
Somebody
missed it
said
earlier.
October
Oh, I can't
7th
believe
is
you
the
can't
last
talk.
day to register
I'm
to vote.
That is correct.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm
we got it. Thank you, Joy.
October the 7th, guys. Please
Thank you,
register
Joy.
to vote if you haven't done it yet.
Yes.
Go ahead, Malcolm. Sorry.
No.
Well,
Um,
I'm just
I've
going to
been-
introduce
I've
her.
been
This
a big-
is my way better half. We've been married forever. 19 years. 19 years. We've raised 4 children. We have
All right.
6 grandchildren.
All right.
And we've already lived a journey.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's been great.
That's just my role. One of my roles. I'm the one that's gonna
Test the water.
Yeah.
Feel it on back.
yeah, and see
All
what's
right.
going on.
That's perfect.
Because we on several shows we'll always have, like, say there's 10 people on the show. It might be 2 people sitting in the back, like
That wasn't nothing.
those are the ones I'm targeting. Okay, as soon as we get through with this interview, I'm going, hey, you
Yeah.
back there, hey,
Back over there.
yeah. So I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, back to flooding.
Yes.
The best thing you can do for flooding is elect a day.
Okay. I like that. You know, but in all seriousness, you know, we need somebody that's going to support the
Yes.
community. We need somebody that's going to support
You
us,
got it.
that knows she's been doing this for a long time, you know, and she's already been helping out the community. She's been out in the front, in the footsteps, doing the legwork
Yes,
behind
yes.
it. Now we need to elect her so she can
the great
keep doing the great work that she's been doing, but at a city council level. That way we can ensure that what she's talking about, and we can hold her accountable. You know, she has a proven record of saying what she's going to do and making it happen. So that's what we need. We need city officials who are not politicians, who are not in this to be making the money for to run for a higher office, to run for mayor, or I'm not sure what your other goals may be, but
I'm here to serve District C and rebuild Houston together and
All
rebuild
right.
it right.
and that is like perfect news for us as well
Yes,
too, because
yes.
we want to make sure that we get in there. Someone's actually going to work for District C, and somebody's going to work for
Our
the
city.
community. You know, not work for your candidacy to run for a higher office level, thinking, you know, okay, I'm going to be here for the next 4 years. I want to increase my visibility so that I can run for a higher office.
This is not a stepping stone for me. I just want to bring my experience and my knowledge to the city and put it to work. And I always say, I am a workhorse, not a show horse.
And a fierce advocate.
Fierce advocate for the people, all the people.
And that's what her campaign is, for the people.
Anton Dawes,
Yeah.
he said, will you approve free cheeseburgers for our residents?
Right now, approving of cheeseburgers sounds fabulous, Anton.
Free tacos, Anton, on Thursday morning.
But
We're starting with tacos, Anton.
Go get some tacos, Anton.
So if you guys have not had the chance to check Shelley out, Shelby Kenny.
Shelby's my cat. Shelley's me.
Shelley.
Shelly.
Shelby is the cat.
Shelley. It's SHELLEY.
Or Big Shell.
Big Shell.
Big Shell. Some of them muscle shells.
Big Shell.
Big Shell for the people, guys. We thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Josh, can I say one more thing?
Yes, you can.
Miss Kennedy, if you would be so kind as to go to Real Talk 100 Radio on Facebook, that logo right there in the middle, and post what you plan, what's your speech in short
platform.
Okay.
to the community, and we'll share it to the page.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You got a lot of thumbs up. People say they're voting for you, Miss Shelley.
Well, all right. All right.
Thank you, Joy.
Make sure you guys go to the free tacos.
Yes, Taco Thursday.
Taco Thursday. Tacos a go-go.
Yes.
Thank you guys for coming on my show. Thank you, Shelley, for
Well,
coming.
it's been a great time. Y'all are great.
Any other things? We have 3 more minutes left, you guys.
Shelley's right all topped out.
She didn't have enough.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, with flooding and, just impacted, just to recap real quick, she said she's pro HFD, she's pro, getting infrastructure done, making sure that, she's fully aware that we get flooding all this time. So we need to take our taxpayer money and really apply it to what it was for originally to begin with. And then also, we talked about, domestic violence, we talked about all this stuff. So if you guys want to look us up, we will be on YouTube as well too. We're going to upload this to YouTube. You can look us up on Pause Impact.
Yes. And
just, reminder, we are Houston's first radio show dedicated to people living with HIV, their friends and family, on Real Talk 100 Radio. So until next time, it's been a pleasure. And thank you guys for listening. Thanks for all of our listeners and our viewers who are tuned into Facebook Live. And we'll be back next week. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye.